His Chief Dr. Sir Bob Manuel Udoku, designer of Bakri Guinea. Keep listening to Street Report with Martin on Ebon 103.5 FM Obidi.
We can't, talk about on a very good day. It's time to cause, social change in our society today, and it's time, to bring about the issue of ombudsmanship. It's time to play that role, of ombudsmanship. One of the biggest problem we have in Nigeria is the fact that we don't talk much about our history, and I won't stop, quoting Bob Marley that says, if you know your history, then you will know where you're coming from, and you wouldn't have to ask me, who do you think I am? A lot to talk about, In order to cause social change in Nigeria, to cause social change in some of the problems we have to confront our history. And this is how, I will welcome you to this awesome, wonderful, spirit and knowledge-filled edition of Street Report on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. I am Martin Epanshuku Ekeze, as our number the first, the one that I call Metal. Yes, the fact that we don't talk much about our history shows that, there are some parts of that history that is hurtful, that when we get to remember them, it's painful. And that's the part we run away from the most, in Nigeria, since the Civil War, that's just the part that we like to run away from. Yes, it is understandable because nobody likes to revisit, painful experience or to talk about it. But it is necessary that we will look into that painful aspect of our history today in order to learn and unlearn, in order to make the future better. That's why we are here today. And that is one thing that the governor of Abia State, Governor-elect Otti, understands, that made him to make a statement about the history, that part of history, in our history. By looking into our history a little bit, somehow will cause a social change today. Something happened in 1966, and that changed the course of navigation of in the affairs of Nigeria. In 1966, Colonel Nzogu and other officers of the Nigerian army planned a coup, which saw the elimination of a set of political class in Nigeria. At first, Colonel Nzogu and cohorts were seen as heroes. That is according to Chinua Achebe in the book There Was a Country. He said they were seen as heroes at first, till the details of the coup began to emerge, and it now took another turn, according to Chinua Achebe, And I quote from There Was a Country. He said, looking back, the naively idealistic coup of January 15th, 1966 proved a terrible disaster. It was interpreted with plausibility as a plot by the ambitious Igbo of the East to take control of Nigeria from Hausa Fulani North. 6 months, I watched horrified as northern officers, revenged the coup, and the rest is history. And it seems like, today, some people are still suffering from the sins of Nzogu. A man that don't even know how to speak the Igbo language. Yes, he is, I think he's from Delta also. He's from the Niger Delta. But I'll get to the root of that one. But one thing I'm trying to state here is the fact that he don't even know how to speak Igbo language. He only knows how to speak Hausa language, and he goes by the name Kaduna Nzogu. Kaduna as, his nickname though, or Chukuma. We are going to sort it out today. We're going to look into all of this to see how we move Nigeria forward from this spot right now. This and more will be the cause of the discussion. This one out is coming from Sonny Okosi. It's a message to Nigerians. Take a listen and we'll be right back. Stay with me. Jai Kama Zigaozi Jai Kama Zigaozi Jai Kama Zigaozi Jai Kama Zigaozi Jai Kama. Africa is now or never. Whether we need to lose it forever. Africa is now or never. Without we need to keep it for good. Nigeria is now or never. Whether love it or lose it forever. Nigeria is now or never. Without love it and keep it for good. Freedom is not level. We are now winning to lose it forever. Freedom is not level. We are now winning to keep it for good. Let me hear. Zigaozi Jai Kama 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 Zigaozi Jai Kama. Africa is now or never. You are winning to lose it forever. Nigeria is now or never. We are now winning to lose it forever. Nigeria is now or never. You are love it or leave it forever. Nigeria is now or never. We have to love it and keep it for good. Freedom is now or never. We have to win it or lose it forever. Freedom is now or never. We have to win it and keep it for good. Zigaozi Yes, it's now or never for Nigeria, to get it right. Because that's one thing, Abia State Governor Alex Otti understands when he made the statement that Nigeria, could have avoided the civil war that happened in 1967, could have, avoided if reason was allowed to prevail. So on this edition, we are looking into those reasons right now to see, if those reasons will still prevail today, because we are still in that issue when it comes to both insecurity and a lot of things that is happening around us. Yes, before Nzogwu, set out to, organize that queue and everything, something led to it, and we're going to look into it right about now. And you're welcome back to Straight Reports on Ebona 103.5 FM. I remain Martin Ipan Chukweke, Zieza number the first, the one them I call Metal. Yes, let me give it to you just the way the Abia State Governor stated it. He said, Nigerian civil war could have been avoided if reason was allowed to prevail. Governor Otti. Abia State Governor Alex Otti on Monday said the Nigerian civil war could have been avoided if reason was allowed to prevail. The Forces Remembrance Day in Omaya noted that the loss of millions of lives during Nigerian armed forces in protecting the lives, property, and territorial integrity of the nation. He lamented that the country is presently troubled by domestic insecurity and a growing sense of uncertainty, adding that the Nigerians security system is overstretched by internal disturbances across the country. The Abia governor, however, commended the officers and men of Nigerian armed forces for bravely fighting terrorism and kidnapping, and for always tackling religious and political extremism, as well as preserving the unity of the nation. The event leading to the civil war and the war itself was very tragic and could have been avoided if reason had been allowed to prevail at certain critical points. The shedding of the blood of millions of people, especially innocent, non-combatant women, children, and the elderly, will remain a long-standing stain on our history, and there should be no attempt to downplay that. Even then, history will also record the quick attempts at reconciliation and reintegration initiated by the military itself as an eternal redeeming gesture, he said. Otti regretted that some Nigerians, especially the elite, are yet to learn from the events of the Civil War and have also refused to engage in constructive dialogue and nation building. He warned Nigerians against constantly fanning the embers of the division and hate with inflammatory rhetoric, clannish divisions, and inciting of young people to attack others, saying that such practice diminish and rubbish the immense intergenerational sacrifices that have kept the country together from pre-independence days. He called for improved welfare for retired soldiers and their families, saying that doing so would further encourage the morale of officers still in service to discharge their duties effectively, as according to him, serving and retired servicemen in the armed forces have not been receiving quality welfare commensurate with their sacrifice. He recalled how his administration partnered with the various security formations in the state to destroy several operational bases of kidnappers and other criminals, and promised that all security formations in Abia would continue to receive adequate support from his administration. He also identified some ex-servicemen for special recognition. It is in the light of These that we recognize some of the heroes who laid down their lives for the state. They are Captain E.S. Apan, Corporal Rashid Yusuf, Lance Corporal Yunusa, and he says, "May their soul rest in peace." Oti. Yes, if we begin to pay close attention to what transpired, what led to the war, we will fix it today. We will make sure that, I will get better. We'll have better understanding of what Nigeria is supposed to be on a very good day. Now, according to Chinua Achebe, Nigeria was not ready or willing to face her problems. If her leaders had approached their duties with humility, they all, might have realized long before the coup that the country was in deep trouble. So one of the biggest problems Nigeria had was pride. And it's also a factor till today. It's still unfolding. We can still see it today. Chinua Achebe in that book continued and said Nigeria was rocked by one crisis after another in the years that followed independence. First, the Nigerian census crisis of 1963 to 1964 shook the nation. The federal election crisis of 1964, which was followed by the Western Nigerian election crisis of 1965, which threatened to split the country. At this point, Nigeria, a young nation, still trying to find its footing. That's just the problem. Yes, in order to solve the problem Nigeria has, we need to also confront what led to the coup. What did some individuals, what motivated them, what inspired them to get into that coup in the first place. I am talking about Nzogu and cohorts now. What made Nzogu and his friends to decide that, okay, we are going to save the day? What happened? It was corruption. They were looking at corruption. Well, at the time, Chino Achebe described it and said that the time when they did this, they were not doing it because of tribe or anything. They did it because of what they can see, what is happening in the government. And that is the reason why they were seen as heroes when they made the move first, when they did the coup. A lot of people saw them as heroes till the details began to emerge that it affected some part and not every other part. But one of the things that led to, the queue itself before is the fact. One problem is that the problem that former president of Nigeria Olusegun Obasanjo described as Igbophobia. And Chino Achebe described it like this. He said, the hatred of the Igbo person. This hatred has been as old. Now, this is how he said it. He said, the first to concede that the Igbo as a group is not without its flaws. Its success can and did carry deadly penalties like the danger of hubris, overwearing pride, and thoughtlessness, which invite envy and hatred, or even worse. Chinua Achebe pointed it out, the problem of the Igbo person too. I'll be right back. Stick around with me.
Many years after the Civil War in Nigeria, which occurred in 1967 as a result of the coup in 1966, many Nigerians still ponder on what could have been avoided and what we could have done differently to avert the war. Abia State Governor Alex Otti, in his remarks during the 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Day in Umuahia, noted that the loss of millions of lives during the war would remain a long-standing stain on the country's history. Many years later, the level of insecurity in the country looks like a people at war with itself, with the state of kidnapping and banditry, etc. Anambra agrees with Governor Otti, but added that if we learn from the war, we can curb our current situation. But the truth is that as a country, being Nigeria and the unity of the nation, I think what we would have fought for was equality. Okay. And when you speak about equality, we should be looking at structures put in place, infrastructures put in place, amenities, social amenities put in place. What is done for the north should be done for the south. What is done for the south should be done for the east. What is done for the east should be done for the west. If these things are in place, I don't think anybody will rise up and speak about division, because Nigeria, to me, is a great nation. Together we stand, divided we fall. Now, don't forget that if we are 10 million as Nigeria, and then one part fractalize or break out, or the other part break, we cannot be giant of Africa anymore. Pastor Dr. Jerry Mba, the founding and presiding pastor of God's General World Assembly, called on government to create job opportunities in order to address the insecurity in the country. The truth about insecurity in Nigeria is that the only way insecurity can be resolved in this country, in my own opinion, is tackling job and unemployment. Okay. That's just, I think, that's the major area. Because if you look at the situation of the country, especially in the economic part of Nigeria, the economic situation of Nigeria, you will discover that the economic situation of Nigeria is, taking food away from people's mouth, and the masses are left without options. So some of them indulge in most of these things, not because they are trained to do that, or not because they want to do that, or it's a way of life for them. To me, I think it's just a way of survival. Because talking about what happened in Abuja last week or last 2 weeks, there about some woodlump broken into somebody's apartment. You see that those people, they are not harmed. Okay. They're not carrying guns. They just had stick with them. They just break into the house, carrying telephone. Chieftaincy tussle that borders around Anambra state government, the monarchs, and Senator Ifeanyi Oba, the clergy man, advised the parties to settle their differences amicably. Because I have a friend from Umuahia that was conferred this chieftaincy title of Obuto Busa. The Igwe did not need to consult with any government authorities. If you have given somebody that entitlement as an Igwe, you have given that person some level of authority to govern his territory. And I believe that that territory is his territory. So whatever he does with the territory, provided he's in agreement with the Igwe in council, it's okay. He doesn't need to ask government. After before, because this Igweship is not connected with any government authority. It is something that has to do with community. It's communal, nothing to do with the government. But because of the autonomous and all of these things we are seeing, the corruption, I grew up from a town that has Igwe, not an autonomous town. We call it Igwe. He was in charge of the 4 communities that make up Newe, come from Newe. So he has the right to put in certain law, provided that law does not affect the government. So something would have gone underground. So they want to prove to him that without you we can with or without you we have power, which is not supposed to be right. Normally, what ministry and Igwe is your fault, not any certificate that anybody gives to you. But because of politics, it's no longer spiritual. Those seats, those entitlements were spiritual. But right now, they are now political. So anything can go. So I think they should just try to reach a compromise and solve their problem. And that's the only advice I have for them. I know it's something that can be solved. From God's General World Assembly, Odumobosi, Martin Eparishuku Ekezie, reporting.
Yes, there you have it. Looking beyond just that, looking at the tribe sentiment, looking beyond that tribe sentiment, Kaduna Nzogo and group did not arise because of tribe sentiment. They started the coup because of corruption in government. Now, let me tell you a little bit about, Chukwuma Kaduna Nzogu. Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Chukwuma Kaduna Nzogu, born 26 February 1937 to 29 July 1967, was a Nigerian military officer who played a leading role in the 1966 Nigerian coup d'etat, which overthrew the first Nigerian Republic. Patrick Chukwuma Nzogu, the city was, he was born in Kaduna, colonial Nigeria. The city was the capital of the northern region at the time. Born into an Anioma family, he attended two Christian schools in Kaduna for his elementary and secondary school education, the St. Joseph's Catholic Primary School and St. John's College. At the second school, Nzogu became close friends with Christian Anuforo. On his return to Nigeria in May 1960, Nzogu was posted to the Nigerian Regiment 1st Battalion in Enugu, where Major Johnson Agui Ironsi was the second in command under a British officer. He was later posted to the 5th Battalion in Kaduna, where he became friends with Olusegun Obasanjo. Now, this is how he started the issue of the coup. The planning of the coup began with an inner circle of university-educated young officers who intended a national military revolution by seizing power and the regional capitals of Kaduna, Northern Region, and Ibadan, Western Region, and later taking control of Lagos Federal Territory. Then, Nzogu was tasked with leading the revolution in the Northern Region, starting with Operation Damisa on 15 January 1966, and later stages, Operation Kura, Operation Zaki, and Operation Giwa, which would have culminated in the murder of the northern establishment. Nzogu had started his preparation by organizing a 2-day night exercise, Damisa Operation Tiger, to train soldiers in new fighting techniques. The exercise was approved by authorities of the 1st Brigade headquarters, apparently unaware of the real intentions of Nzogu, and Brigadier Major Alfonso Keshi had sent a circular to all units operating under the brigade to contribute troops toward the success of the exercise. By the time Major Keshi realized Operation Damisa was actually a military conspiracy, it was too late to counter the operation, and it affected a lot of people. Now, here is the names of the people who were involved in this coup. Major Kaduna Nzogu Igbo, Major Timothy Onwatuegu Igbo, Major Emmanuel Ifajona Igbo, Major Chris Anuforo Igbo, Major Don Okafor Igbo, Major Adewale Ademoyega Igbo, Yoruba, and Major Humphrey Chukwuka Igbo, Captain Emmanuel Nwobosi Igbo, Captain Ben Bulie Igbo, Captain Obu Oji Igbo. So when people were celebrating them as heroes, it was when their identity began to come out like this. That's when, it took another turn. And now the government officials who were killed, Prime Minister Abubakar Belewa, Premier Amadu Bello, Premier Samuel Akintola, Finance Minister Festus Okotie Ebo, Brigadier Samuel Ademologun, Brigadier Zachary, and Colonel Ku Muhammad, Colonel Raf Shoinde, Lieutenant Colonel James Pam, Lieutenant Colonel Ato Unebe. So one Igbo person was also killed in the process, So I will bring it back to what Chinua Achebe said about the flaws of the Igbo people. That's the exact place we'll start from addressing this entire thing at the end of the day. If you look at it, he stated that, he will concede, and accept the fact that the Igbo person, also have his own flaws. So he said, I will be the first to concede that the Igbo as a group is not without its flaws. Its success can and did carry deadly penalties. The dangers of the hubris, overwearing pride, and the thoughtlessness which invite envy and hatred, or even worse, pointing out the flaws. So one other issue that we must address is the issue of respect, the situation whereby that these things happen. People were still mourning, the political class, the people that were killed, during the queue itself. And somebody made a song, according to Chinua, somebody made a song that was derogatory towards, the northern part of Nigeria. All of this led to what happened afterwards, that led to the war at the end of the day. So are we learning something from, like, what we must curb in order to, safeguard Nigeria at the end of the day? Now, the question on this particular edition is, what are we supposed to stop today in order to keep ourselves together as a country, in order this country at the end of the day? Because the sacrifices of the people, the people who came before us, will not about, that aspect of the Igbo person, that everybody, that flaws. At the end of the day, he also talked about the fact that Nigeria is supposed to celebrate the enterprising spirit of the Igbo man. So what is your take on all of this? You become part of this conversation this evening. 070-3445-9334 or 070-4559-2210. Because Bob Marley said that if you know your history, then you will know where you're coming from, and you wouldn't have to ask me, who in the heck do you think I am? So if we begin to look into our history from time to time, we get to sort some of the things that affect us as a people. And it's very important that we point out these things and begin to address it properly. One of the things that we must fix, one of the things that we are looking into now, like the three things we picked from what was observed from the entire story, is one, the fact that pride, is also one of the biggest problems that affected us as a people. Talking about the fact that Ashebe pointed out the fact that political class or the government officials back in the days were not operating with humility. They did not serve with humility. It was one thing that affected them. And if you look at it down till now, that humility is very hard to find, Another thing we are looking at is the Igbophobia. That's the way the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, described it. Igbophobia, the fear of the Igbo person and the success that goes with him anywhere he goes to, that fear. And another thing we are looking into is the pomposity, or that pride that follows the Igbo man as well. If I put it in the exact word of Chinua Achebe, he said, "I will be the first to concede that the Igbo as a group is not without its flaws. Its success can and did carry deadly penalties. The dangers of the hubris, overwearing pride and thoughtlessness, which invite envy and hatred, or even worse." What is your take on this? 07034 459334. Again, 07034 459334 or 070-4559-2210. Remember to join us on Facebook as we are live at Ebon at the 103.5 FM. Drop your comments on the comment section of the live video. Because as we talk about this, there is connection to the insecurity we have today. There is connection to all the problems we face today because it started before now. And some of these things, Chinua Achebe tabulated in the book, There Was a Country. And today we are also looking at it from the perspective of the governor of Abia State, Governor Alex Otti, who said that the Nigerian civil war have been avoided if reason was allowed to prevail. So I'm here today so that we get to look into that reason itself today. Yes, when it comes to our history, there are, a lot of propaganda that became something that a lot of people accepted as fact. There are rumors that now became facts for some people as well. We are stating what is the fact now, what transpired, what led to what now. That's what we are doing now. Because if our history is properly taught, a lot of people who engage in being unknown gunmen and a lot of people who engage with some sentiments that is not the fact will begin to get it, will begin to understand it, So that's why we must talk about our history from time to time. So Nkaga beyond the reason, or Nkaga beyond a lot of people. If you look at it, he ain't about the high tech, he ain't about the high, and we need to talk about it. This thing signing in Nigeria today, he lead to the war, in 1967. That Nigerian civil war, which Governor of Abia State now pointed out, now say that all na Ahlapo reason prevail, or that war could have been avoided. Can you feel if I got avoid that war, could have been avoided, and at a time, can you feel again need avoided today in order to cut down in some of the problems I'm with today as a people, the problem of insecurity, a lot of things that we are looking at today. Let's hear from you. What do you have to say about all of this evening? Let's hear from you now. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good evening. Welcome, sir. Gabani Rusa. Kebisa kwa ita. Gabani Rusa. Ebidogo ọgụ mgbe ahụ. Ebidogo ọgụ mgbe. Ebidogo ọgụ mgbe nke abụghị. Ebidogo ọgụ.
The guy is where in Nigeria. The guy is where go on, better. But as we are, it is prepared to tell you when or where all the ones here.
Yeah, but the thing, even before go one, we're better in the picture like that. I need to go anya ni hemelu with Nzogu because you were from Nzogu, which year down to go on. So Nzogu go do. Can if I can avoid the gas? Okay. So you follow nka na osolo na facts. Wọ́n lè bí yẹ wọ́n as fact.
na ha agaghị ekwe anyị Igbo man otechi destiny na ọ ga na kọntrol anyị Igbo man ihe niile na so n'ihe demand edachi wee pati ọchịchị wee gbuo na nwoke ahụ bikos na ihe niile ahụ dịtirichara gbachi ntụli aka ndị ụdị nke a na-emechibe oke tite o nwere nke akwụkwọ echepala na ndị Igbo chọrọ investi ana Yoruba
Yes, I pointed something. You were when I get. You were when I get. I pointed something out. I pointed two things out. The Igbophobia, hatred of Igbo people, both the former president of Nigeria, who Obasanjo described as. Now, the second thing, where follow the SSC Igbo person. Or it disrespectful to another person, or it because now Anaka and all of that, which is Chinua point out. If he now when casting a mother who in order to make mockery of some people, if he that this disrespect as to contribute to it. I know my brother. No, no, Nsobaro, I'm manager anya kedu ka ga-esi wee call kwa flaws of the Igbo person the way Chinua Achebe si wee kwuo ya.
Like
onye nchọgoro ka ịghọta onye nchọgoro ka accept onye Igbo nwere flaws or not onwe no flaws ọ bụ flaws enwe flaws onye Igbo onye bụ ihe achọgasị ka a address ya. Thank you so much, my brother Dalo. Yes, we need to hear from you. What is your take on all of this? And then in our mind, the kind of language in the use of at the end of the day. Yeah, today wrongly. I call out. Some of the parts Chinua Achebe were they like the Igbophobia itself. We're also looking into the essences of the Igbo person, flaws of the Igbo person, the way Chinua Achebe will describe. 07034 45 9334 or 07045 592210. And all the in order to shape our politics. We are talking about it in order to cause social change, in those areas. So even us switch the guy down in history. Let's see what you have to say about all of this. Hello.
Hello, Mr.
Yes, good evening, my brother.
Good evening.
No, after dinner, this is why Gabaniru, my brother. Gabaniru.
I think
Okay. Everybody video where tackle be nobody just to go one there's a letter from Zobugodu. Everybody get Tiaka.
From Zogwan and from Zogwan as your school.
Yes. Nzogu be a medical mana ihe o ji mia omelia because of ndị Igbo nwere mgbe omelia na na azụ ndị Igbo
onya na the problem na tuko Because ọnwa ihe ọfụ anaghị adịtachazi n'anya kpata o ji akpaba alụ.
Corruption. You reason on your corruption in government, in every in the society. Oh yeah, before the line.
Onye ọna na-eme cool, onye ọna na-azọ ọchịchị, ga-enwelite ofu ihe oyi egodo aka. Wee na-asị na onye nke na-eme bifọ anaghị emetata, ya emeta karịa anyanwa. Ịghọta, onwe ihe ọfụ kpatara o ji wee kpaa agwa anwa. Adịghị anwa ọfụkwa ihe ka na-agakwa n'iru wee rukọta ata. Kpatakwa na onwe onye Igbo achọrọ ka ọ mee gịnị.
Ngwa now, achọrọ m ka njụọ gị ajụjụ a bifo gaba onye Igbo o nwee flaws ka Chinua Achebe si wee steeti
ịmakwa na onye Igbo ọwụwa ndị Igbo niile dịka onye Zambo siri okwu ọnwa mmadụ niile.
Mana like a greater percentage of Igbo people enwekwa flaws other tribe na-abụfa na-afụ onye Igbo defa.
Ihe ndị Igbo jiri dị iche na ndị Igbo na-enwetabụ ekwuchi okwu etu n'ụwa. Ọ ga-enweta ndị ejije ndị ike ji.
Keke ịghọta ihe na-ekwu ọfụma na ihe Chinua Achebe kwu, ọ sị, I will be the first to concede that Igbo as a group is not without its flaws. Its success can and did carry deadly penalties. The dangers of hubris, overwearing pride, that is pride did too much, thoughtlessness, just because which invites envy and hatred or even worse. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us there. I can never from them. Thank you so much for joining us, my brother. The numbers once again 07034 459334 or 07045592210. Let's hear from you right about now. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, move away from your radio, put it off, and then your name and location, please. Gabani Rusao.
There's nothing you can do about Igbo man's behavior.
Okay.
You cannot change it.
Okay.
It is their nature. And the people we are living with have their own flaws too.
Yes.
You cannot change somebody's natural behavior. Ndị Igbo at ndị na-ekwu abụrụ ndị na-ayọ ayịyọ and ọ na-ewe ndị ọzọ iwe. Anyị amasị because ọ na-ewe ndị ọzọ iwe ka anyị yọrọ ayịyọ.
Yes.
This is Igbo idiosyncrasy.
You will when I can point out the flaws out to Chinua Achebe. We see the dangers of the hubris, overweening pride and thoughtlessness, which invite envy and hatred or even worse. Those things I mentioned in order to become one as Nigerians.
What they believe in, they will go about it.
Okay.
So when I went, I was going to Lagos. Only the way Diego Nata, we can on a mirror. Putting what you phone. You know, that I not where you go, man. You buy that where you know that. Oh, okay, but that's not president, not some matter. Where 3 cars. The landlord, they were all the that sort of envy and an people. Ndị Igbo, God equipped in a way that Navana survives everywhere they are. And survival, even now, even not that position to go to that, but the first offer. People might not struggle. No struggle, he will have to show off. There's nothing on earth will make you to be an Igbo man.
So, but now the question now, how do we accept each other's flaws and become one nation without the bickering and then develop each other once together?
Yes, it's a good question. The interior of any state.
The show na Igbo ada choku.
Father choku, even of business. million run, no water run, they will go everywhere and bring the water and give them and take money. They can't find where they are making money. In a place where they cannot find trouble there because they find trouble there, they will go. So the Nigerians they have to accept Nigerians and their behavior. That's the only way to live with them.
And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. Yes, the numbers once again 07034459334 or 07045592210. I want a message from Agunabo from Ofa Aguluzibo. I'll say, Martin, history is very important. If properly stated, for instance, marginalization and side appointments and killing, and above all, his tribalism and religious beliefs and abuse of Igbo tribes, and for us to get it right, is to let everyone have rights in his country. Martin, it is true that Nzogwuku was targeted on imagination and killing of Igbos. In fact, a lot of facts need to be addressed properly. Okay, we'll get to all of that first, but we started with Nzogwu for a reason. Let's hear from you. What do you have to say about all of this? Hello? Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Your call has been.
Yo, please put off your radio set. Have you put off your radio set? Hello.
Hello.
When you go radio,
Hello.
Yeah, okay, please call us back. 07034459334 or 07045592210. Let's hear from you right about now. What do you have to say about this? Hello.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening, my brother. How are you doing this evening?
Fine. It's Prosper. I'm calling from Okidi.
Okay, please go on.
Yeah, I've been following the program. It's true what Chinua Achebe said.
Yeah.
The Igbo man has pride.
Yeah.
Yes, overwhelming pride. But then when you see an Igbo man in his business place, let's throughout the East here, let's take for example, when you see an Igbo man in his business place, he tends to be mean to others, to challenge the things that tend to, which is normal.
Okay.
At times, some other people tend to go extra miles, just physically and otherwise. But then, you see, the reason why this thing happens like this is because the Igbo man, he doesn't want to lose his daily bread. He wants to catch it all and make sure that nothing is missing.
Okay.
But then, if our shares and a fair court is given to us and we don't have to struggle so much to get our daily bread, you'll see that an Igbo man can be very loving and good to be around with.
Okay.
Then talking about the two.
Yeah.
It happens that way. It's the same thing that the Chinua Achebe said. He got it right. I think he's a prophet. He just viewed it from the top. And the Igbo man needs to make amends. Honestly, that's how it should be. Thank you, my brother.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us this evening, my brother. Thank you. Yes, and we have gotten to the spot where we'll begin to call it a day on this particular edition of Street Report on Airborne at the 103.5 FM. Before I leave, Agonabu made a statement. He said, before Igbo man will pick up a gun to fight, you will find out that they have suppressed or pushed him to the wall. That is what I know about the incident, the entire incident. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Agonabu no fa agluzibo. There must be a way by which all these flaws, okay, the Igbo man has his own flaws, Yoruba, everybody have flaws, so what do we do to bring it together, in as much as we know, okay, these people have this and all of that, how do we maintain the peace as a people? That's just the question that is left there for us to sort as a people, so that's the much I have on this particular edition of Street Report on Airborne at the 103.5 FM. Remember, it comes your way Friday, 4:30 p.m. So keep a date, and don't touch the dial of Airborne at the 103.5 FM. Once it's 6 o'clock, immediately after Angelus, there will be news. So stick around with us. Till we meet again, I am Martin. Ifeanyi Chukwu Ikeze Ezanumber the Force, the one them are called Metal. Have a lovely weekend.
Sir Bob Manuel Udoku, designer Buckley Nogidi. Keep listening to Street Report with Martin on Ebonade 103.5 FM Ogidi.
We are gonna make it. Win the prize and
Thank you. Like, subscribe, and share, right? You rock. You rock. Thank you. Like, subscribe, and share, right? You rock.